Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is not something you can ignore. Most people will brush this off. Most will think this message isn't meant for them. But the ones who were guided here, the chosen ones, will stay until the end. Because this moment matters more than you realize. Then you need to understand something critical. There is one thing you absolutely must not do today. Most people will ignore this warning. Most will think I've lost my mind. But the truly chosen ones, those who were meant to receive this message, will watch until the very end. Because this isn't just another mistake. This isn't some minor error you can correct tomorrow. Last night, a massive portal opened. And this portal is the final and most significant gateway of 2025. If you ignore what I'm about to tell you, if you dismiss this as coincidence or spiritual nonsense, then what happens next is not God's responsibility. Don't blame the universe. Don't ask why you weren't protected. I am warning you right now. The choice is yours. Let me be absolutely clear about something before we go any further. The full moon that peaked yesterday, December 4th, was not an ordinary lunar event. This was what ancient mystics called a completion moon, a cosmic seal that closed out an entire energetic cycle. Every portal that opened in 2025, every frequency shift you experienced, every download you received, all of it culminated in that single moment, when the moon reached its fullest expression in Gemini. And now in the immediate aftermath, in these first critical hours after that peak, you are standing in the most dangerous and most powerful window of the entire year. What makes today so treacherous is that most people have no idea what's actually happening. They felt the intensity of the full moon. They experienced the emotional waves, the sleepless nights, the vivid dreams, the sudden clarity about situations that had been confusing them for months. And now that the moon is waning, now that the peak has passed, they assume the cosmic event is over. They think they can go back to normal. They believe the pressure is off, and they can relax back into their regular patterns. This assumption is catastrophically wrong. The full moon wasn't the event. The full moon was the activation. And what's happening right now, today, in these hours immediately following that activation, this is where everything is decided. This is where your entire 2026 timeline gets locked in. And the mistake that most people are making right now, the error that will cost them everything they've been working toward, is rushing to take action. I know that sounds counterintuitive. For months, I've been telling you about divine timing, about taking bold steps, about moving when the universe opens doors. And all of that guidance remains true. But today is different. Today is the exception. Today requires the exact opposite approach, because what opened last night during the full moon was not a doorway for action. It was a doorway for reception. The portal that's active right now is a download portal, not an output portal. And if you try to push, force or make things happen today, you will interrupt the very transmission you've been waiting for your entire life. Your consciousness is downloading massive information right now. Last night, Source Intelligence initiated a transmission into your energetic system, information about your purpose, clarity about your next steps, revelations about relationships, insights about patterns you've been running. All of this data is being transmitted into your consciousness right now, but the download is still in progress. And if you interrupt it by trying to take action too soon, you will corrupt the very guidance that would have shown you exactly what to do. This is what I mean when I say today's mistake will destroy the answer you've been waiting for. The answer is coming, but you have to give it space to complete. That urge, that pressure to take immediate action. That restlessness making you want to send the message, make the call, have the conversation, quit the job, end the relationship. That urgency is not divine guidance. That's your ego panicking, because it can sense that massive change is coming. And it's trying to regain control by getting you to act before the full picture has been revealed. Let me paint you a scenario that's probably happening in your life right now. Over the past few days, as the full moon energy built toward its peak, you received some kind of clarity. Maybe it was about a relationship. You suddenly saw with sharp precision that this connection is not serving your highest good. You recognized patterns you'd been blind to. You felt the truth in your body that this person, no matter how much you care about them, is not aligned with where you're going. And now, today, you're feeling an almost unbearable urge to act on that clarity, to send the text, to have the conversation, to end it right now. Or maybe the clarity was about your career. You realized with sudden certainty that what you're doing is slowly killing your soul. That every day you show up to this job is a day you're betraying your true purpose. And now you're feeling the impulse to quit, to send the resignation email, to finally free yourself from what's been draining you. Or perhaps the clarity was about your living situation, your daily habits, your creative projects, your spiritual practice. Whatever the specific area, you saw the truth, and now you want to act on it immediately. I'm telling you with everything I know about cosmic timing, with everything I've learned from watching thousands of people move through these portals, that acting today would be a critical error, not because the clarity is wrong. The insight you received is absolutely accurate. The truth you saw is real, but it's incomplete. What came through during the full moon was the first wave of information. It was the initial revelation designed to get your attention, to wake you up to what needs to change. But it wasn't the full transmission. The complete download includes not just what needs to change, but how to change it, when to change it, what resources you'll need, who needs to be involved, what the consequences will be, what the timeline is. All of that critical information is still downloading. And if you act before you receive it, you'll make the right change in the wrong way at the wrong time. And that will create chaos instead of transformation. The Gemini energy from yesterday's full moon is particularly tricky. Gemini shows you one part of the truth very clearly, while temporarily obscuring other parts. You see what's wrong, but you don't yet see what's right. You recognize what needs to end, but you don't understand what needs to begin. Revelation comes in stages. First you see the problem. Then you understand the solution. But December 5th is dangerous because the clarity from last night is so fresh that it feels like you have complete information, when you actually only have partial information. And if you act on partial information, you'll make the right change in the wrong way at the wrong time, creating chaos instead of transformation. The specific guidance for today is radical stillness. And I don't mean physical stillness, although that helps. I mean energetic stillness, internal stillness. The kind of stillness where you stop trying to figure everything out. Where you stop rehearsing the conversation you're planning to have. Where you stop obsessing over the decision you think you need to make. Where you stop pushing your consciousness toward a conclusion. This stillness is not passivity. This is not avoidance. This is not fear masquerading as patience. This is active reception. This is conscious allowing. This is you creating the optimal conditions for the rest of the download to come through clearly. Think of yourself as a satellite dish right now. The transmission is being broadcast from source. But if the dish is moving, if it's pointed in the wrong direction, if there's interference, the signal can't get through. Your job today is to become perfectly still, perfectly aligned, perfectly receptive. And that means not filling every moment with noise, activity, and distraction. It means creating actual space in your day for the download to complete. Because here's what you need to understand about how divine guidance works. It doesn't typically come through when you're busy. It doesn't arrive while you're scrolling social media, or having surface-level conversations, or keeping yourself occupied with tasks that don't really matter. Divine guidance requires a specific kind of spaciousness, a quality of attention that most people never access, because they're terrified of what they might hear if they actually got quiet. Today, you need to get quiet. Intentionally create pockets of time where you're not consuming content, not producing content, not engaging with other people's energy. Time where you're simply being with yourself and whatever wants to emerge. This might look like meditation, but it doesn't have to be formal practice. It might be a long walk in nature, where you're not listening to anything, just walking and noticing. It might be sitting with a journal and letting your hand write without your mind directing what comes out. It might be lying down and staring at the ceiling, allowing thoughts and feelings to surface without judging them or trying to make them mean something. However you create this spaciousness, the key is that you're not forcing anything. You're not trying to have a revelation. You're simply making yourself available for whatever wants to come through. And here's what will happen if you do this correctly. Somewhere in the stillness, probably when you're not even trying anymore, the rest of the download will arrive. It might come as a sudden knowing that lands in your awareness with absolute certainty. It might come as a vision that shows you exactly what needs to happen and in what order. It might come as a feeling in your body that guides you toward yes or away from no with unmistakable clarity. It might come through a dream tonight or tomorrow night where your subconscious processes the information your conscious mind isn't ready to receive yet. However it arrives, you'll know it when it happens. Because unlike the ego's urgent pushing, divine guidance feels calm. It feels certain. It feels like coming home to a truth you've always known, but temporarily forgot. But you can only receive this complete transmission if you stop interrupting it. And the biggest interruption right now is premature action. Every time you reach for your phone to send that message, you're interrupting the download. Every time you start mentally rehearsing the conversation, you're interrupting the download. Every time you try to figure out the perfect plan, you're interrupting the download. Your ego wants control. It wants to feel like it's doing something. It's deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty, with waiting, with trusting something it can't see or prove. So, it will keep generating reasons why you need to act now. Why waiting is weak. Why stillness is the same as being stuck. Don't believe these lies. Stillness is not stuckness. Waiting for complete information is not the same as avoiding necessary action. There is a massive difference between divinely timed patience and fear-based procrastination. And today, right now, patience is your power. Let me tell you what happens to the people who don't follow this guidance. I've watched this pattern play out hundreds of times. Someone receives partial clarity during a powerful lunar event. They feel the truth of what was revealed. And because they're genuinely committed to their growth, because they really do want to honor their soul, they immediately act on that clarity. They quit the job without having another one lined up, and without understanding that they needed to learn specific lessons from that position before moving on. They end the relationship without recognizing that the pattern they're trying to escape lives inside them and will just recreate itself with the next person. They move to a new city without realizing they're running from internal discord that geography can't fix. And then weeks or months later, they're confused about why things got harder instead of easier. Why the bold move they made didn't lead to the breakthrough they expected. Why they feel just as stuck as before, just in a different location or situation. The reason this happens is that they acted on partial information. They saw the first half of the truth, but didn't wait for the second half. They recognized what needed to change, but didn't receive guidance about how to change it skillfully. And so they created chaos when they could have created transformation. They generated crisis when they could have experienced graceful transition. They made everything harder than it needed to be, because they couldn't tolerate the brief discomfort of not knowing, of waiting, of trusting that the complete answer was on its way. Don't let this be your story. Don't let impatience rob you of the very breakthrough you've been praying for. The guidance you need is coming. The clarity will be complete. The path will be shown, but only if you give the process the time and space it needs to unfold naturally. Now, let me address something important. Some of you are wondering, how do I know the difference between ego-driven impulse and genuine divine timing? How do I know if I'm being guided to act, or if I'm just being impatient? This is a crucial question, because the ego is incredibly skilled at mimicking spiritual language. It will say, "You're being guided." When you're actually just being anxious, it will say, "This is divine timing," when it's actually just impulsive. So, how do you tell the difference? The answer lies in the quality of the energy behind the urge to act. Ego-driven impulse feels urgent, pressured, tight. It says if you don't do this now, right now, immediately something terrible will happen. You'll miss your chance. You'll lose the momentum. You'll prove you're not serious. This urgency creates anxiety in your body, tightness in your chest, knots in your stomach, a racing mind that can't settle. Divine timing, on the other hand, feels different. Even when it's asking you to take bold action, even when it's calling you to do something scary, there's a quality of calm certainty underneath. Divine timing says this is what needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. But not from panic, not from fear, not from the belief that if you don't force it right now, it will disappear. Divine timing trusts that if something is truly meant to happen, the universe will continue creating opportunities for it to unfold. There's no desperation in it, no grasping, no sense that you have to make it happen through sheer force of will. So check in with your body right now. When you think about taking action on the clarity you received during the full moon, what do you feel? If you feel anxiety, tightness, urgency that borders on panic, that's ego. Wait. If you feel calm certainty even in the face of fear about the unknown, that might be divine timing. But even then, today specifically, I'm telling you to wait, because the energy is too volatile right now. The download is still in progress, and even divinely timed action can be executed more skillfully once you have complete information. Here's another critical piece of guidance for today. Pay extremely close attention to your dreams tonight. The full moon has thinned the veil between your conscious awareness and your subconscious mind. This means your dreams are going to be unusually vivid, unusually symbolic, and unusually informative. Tonight while you sleep, your subconscious will process the information that came through during the full moon. It will integrate the downloads. It will make connections your waking mind can't yet see. And it will communicate its findings through dream imagery. Before you go to sleep tonight, set a clear intention. Say out loud or write in your journal, "Show me what I need to know. Reveal the complete picture. Guide me toward right action in right timing." Then, keep a journal right next to your bed, so you can write down whatever you remember the moment you wake up. Don't wait until after breakfast, or after you've checked your phone. Dream memory fades within minutes. You need to capture it immediately. What you're looking for in your dreams are symbols, scenarios, and emotional tones that give you additional information about the situation you received clarity about. If you dreamed about doors, pay attention to whether they're opening or closing, whether you're walking through them, or standing in front of them. If you dream about water, notice whether it's calm or turbulent, whether you're drowning or swimming, whether it's clear or murky. If you dream about people, recognize that they're often representing aspects of yourself rather than actual information about those individuals. Your subconscious speaks in metaphor. It doesn't give you literal instructions. It gives you symbolic guidance that your intuition can interpret. And in the days following powerful lunar events like yesterday's full moon, dream symbolism is especially potent. But there's something else happening in your dream space right now that's even more significant than symbolic processing. During this particular window, in the immediate aftermath of a completion moon in Gemini, your dream time is being used for what I call timeline previewing. This means you're not just processing the past or integrating the present. You're actually getting glimpses of potential futures. You're being shown what will happen if you take one path versus another. What will unfold if you make one choice versus a different choice. These timeline previews don't come with labels. They don't announce themselves as visions of the future. They simply feel like dreams, but they carry a different quality than regular dreams. They feel more real, more substantial, more charged with significance. And when you wake up, instead of fading quickly, they linger. You can't stop thinking about them. You keep returning to specific images or moments from the dream. That lingering quality is how you know you weren't just processing random mental debris. You were receiving actual information about potential timeline outcomes. I want to address something that many of you are experiencing right now, and that's intense emotional instability. Since the full moon, you might be swinging between extremes. One moment you feel euphoric, clear, powerful, like you can take on the world. The next moment you're in tears, overwhelmed, terrified, convinced you can't handle what's being asked of you. 1 hour you're angry at everyone and everything. The next hour you're full of love and forgiveness. This emotional volatility is not a sign that something is wrong with you. This is not a mental health crisis. This is what happens when massive energetic shifts occur in your system. The old frequency and the new frequency are trying to coexist temporarily, and that creates turbulence. Think of it like two weather systems colliding before the storm clears, and the new weather pattern establishes itself. There's chaos, lightning, thunder, unpredictable winds. That's what's happening in your emotional body right now. The critical guidance here is the same as before. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary emotional states. Don't send the angry email when you're in the anger phase of the swing. Don't make sweeping declarations of love when you're in the euphoric phase. Don't quit everything when you're in the overwhelm phase. Don't commit to things you're not ready for when you're in the powerful phase. Ride the waves without acting on them. Feel the emotions fully. Let them move through you. But recognize that they're part of the integration process, not reliable guides for decision making. Once the emotional weather settles, once the integration is complete, you'll have access to a much more stable, clear, trustworthy inner guidance system. But that settlement takes time. And today is still too close to the storm to trust that the skies are clear. Let me give you practical guidance for today. First, minimize your obligations. Don't schedule high-stakes meetings or difficult conversations. Keep your energy close. Second, stay off social media. The collective energy is chaotic right now and will distort your signal. Third, spend time in nature. The earth stabilizes erratic energy. Fourth, hydrate aggressively.